For a session presented by Kyndryl, please welcome Partner for Kyndryl, Victoria Platt, and Managing Director at Microsoft, Mark Weaver, in discussion with SkiftX Senior Branded Content Editor, Darren Frei.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys?
Yeah.
Well, this is fun. I'm so glad to get a chance to talk with you both about personalization, everyone's favorite customer experience topic. We've heard a lot about personalization from DFW, JetBlue, and I know it's on the agenda later today. But in terms of personalization, I mean, it's all about customer engagement, right? What do you see as sort of the biggest opportunities to deepen customer engagement now? And Victoria, let's start with you.
Sure, because we're here to talk about next generation. You might know it as hyper-personalization or extreme personalization. And we've been talking about it for about 10 or 14 years. Back 14 years ago, I was with IBM Research, and you probably remember when Watson beat Jeopardy in the winter of 2011. And we were all so excited because we thought, now is the time, right, for next generation personalization. But we were missing the mark because computational power was still not at that level. We didn't have large language models. We certainly didn't have Gen AI. Watson was a great AI. And we didn't have the social media that is today. Now is the time that we can tap into that. That's why we're sitting here with Microsoft, with all the tools and technology they have to make extreme personalization come to life. And what does that look like? That's building new attributes that go beyond seat preference, meal preference, destination preference. What do I mean by that? Based in all of our language, how all of you speak and how all of you write is the hidden combination to your true persona, your multiplex view, your elocution, your lexicon, your semantics, what you say, how do you structure a sentence. It says everything about you. For instance, if I probably mined Mark's email to me, I could probably tell if he was an expressor or a transactor. If I mind Darren while he's speaking to me, I don't know if this is true, but you might be a declarer or a permission seeker. Those attributes are so valuable in how we drive content and personalize it, how we speak in dialogue with a passenger or a consumer. So we are at an incredible tipping point right now. And I look at Microsoft, well done being the sleeping tiger the last 10 years, and seeing this and knowing this and building the platforms and technologies can make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you, Victoria. Well, Microsoft is in a pretty fortunate position where we have a lot of great partnerships with a lot of the airlines around the world. So whether that's American or Air India or Spirit, we have a lot of great partnerships and they're innovating at a rapid pace. We're able to help them with that. And we learn a lot along the way too. We've learned that a great customer experience is really valuable. It's valuable to the passenger, to the traveler, it's valuable to the organization as well. And what this allows you to do is really unlock that rich set of data that exists out in the ethos, but we have to pull it together, we have to stitch that together. The research also shows that 80% of people, when surveyed, would pay more for a great customer experience. So that notion of personalization has a real monetary impact to it, a real value. And loyalty programs are a step in the right direction, and they're fantastic in a lot of ways, but they don't really drive to the heart of personalization or hyper-personalization, as Victoria mentioned. So that's an area where we think Gen AI can really step in, and we can create some great combination use cases together to really unlock that for the airlines to really drive great personalization for the customer, but also unlock new revenue streams.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned data. That's obviously essential to any kind of personalization. How can airlines encourage passengers to share more about themselves or to share more data? You mentioned inferring things from dialogue. What are some other ways that data can be shared?
Yeah, so Mark and I have been working on some programs that can unlock non-transactional data and high engagement with the passenger or consumer. And let me preface, I'm going to give an idea that we've been working on, or a program we've been working on. Obviously, privacy and security are incredibly important, but when you're innovating, you don't want to shackle yourself with rules yet. Let's see what the program could look like. So I'm going to use American Airlines because they're in our backyard today, and we love them along with the other airlines. And they have 115 million plus or minus Advantage members, right? 17 million of those are actually active. It's a bit of a low number. What can we do, a program that would actually engage them where they would maybe share non-transactional data that we could use for preferences and for travel and ancillary sales that are non-aviation? So think of this. What if, does everybody in the audience remember Build-A-Bear? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Yeah, maybe I'm dating myself. I don't even know if Build-A-Bear still exists. But what if we did build your best carry-on? And we encourage those 17 million members, you have to have the card to join on AA.com, and actually build the perfect carry-on that you would like. Think of all the preferences, the color, the form factor that we can get from non-transactional data from that passenger, and then let them all vote on the best bag. Now, that can actually be an acquisition program. If you want to join this program and build the bag, join the loyalty program. I know we have, I think, Air France coming after us on the loyalty side. What does that do? That's about, think if we had 1 million people do that, that's 1 million people focus group study. We could aggregate that data as well, anonymize it, and sell it to a TUMI coach who probably have 30 or 40 people in a focus group study to find that perfect bag. But now we can help them with 1 million people focus study, and we just got this amazing attribute on the passenger that we can use. Mm-hmm. And let me preface that when Mark and I are working on this, we're using their gaming platform as well to build the best bag.
Gamification.
So, gamification, yeah.
Yeah.
And as a platform provider, data security and trust is really at the foundation. I think you touched on that very well. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not going to get individuals to share that information that she talked about in that great example unless they trust the platform and they mm-hmm. see the value proposition, sort of the what's in it for me. I think that's an important thing to think through. The customer needs to be at the center of these discussions. And as you're thinking about ways to kind of pull them out of their shell in some ways, how do you stitch all that together? And then always thinking of new ways to monetize that data for a greater impact, right? I think there's ways to do that. I think AI unlocks that for us as well.
AI, that's the key word here. We would be remiss if we didn't discuss AI, so I'd like to go a little bit deeper on that. Victoria, what's AI's role in all of this from your perspective?
Right, so we're at the tip of the iceberg. I see we're using AI for chatbots and so forth, and that next generation personalization with Gen AI can go the next step. So what I thought I'd do is I'd actually bring, Mark and I are working on helping our clients create a data factory, but we need to hyper-accelerate for hyper-personalization and move them into an insight factory, and we're working on that platform today, where the data scientist and the machine, aka Gen AI, are working in symbiosis together to mine those insights, and insights that have the best outcome for the client. But I wanted to just read you, I did some work for Warner Brothers, and this is just manual. I'm a researcher. Harry Potter fans, anyone? Yeah. So Harry Potter is owned by Warner Brothers. It's a $25 billion franchise. That is content at its best, but it's also high engagement from the fans and the consumers like yourselves that engage in Harry Potter. So all I did was get on their Instagram account, and they were running a contest. And the contest was something like this. They had the wizard family for Harry Potter, and it said, which family would you want to join on Harry Potter? And I was looking at all the comments. Here was a comment from Sophie. She said, I'm a ginger, so the safest option is the Wesleys. I'd rather not be bullied for the rest of my life with the Malfoys. Now, that is great insight. What would I do to provide you know what I would do? I would try to push entertainment and movies that has the underdog as the hero. Very slight, very subtle, but I think that she would probably gravitate toward that. And then, because I all believe we have a word cloud as well, we have Messy Pixie here, who crochets, I guess, and says, Malfoys, they're cook, right? Okay, that's a Gen Z or Gen, right? They're cook, that can mean two things, right? But that's person's word cloud. Shakespeare says the most beautiful thing to a man's ear is his own name. Well, the most beautiful thing to all of us is when we hear each other's own language. If you've ever had an argument with your spouse and he says, stop telling me what to say, and the other party is saying, I'm telling you what I want to hear. So incredibly powerful.
And Mark, are you Gryffindor, Hufflepuff? What are we?
Oh, my kids definitely have a preference. I'm sort of in the fence.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, at Microsoft, we see a ton of use cases already in the field for AI, right? We have above-the-wing use cases, we have below-the-wing use cases, and so in-flight personalization is one that's beginning to take off. We have ground operations which predictive maintenance activities to really reduce downtime and delays at the gate. All of this, again, focused on driving that customer experience in a positive direction. You can also look at the enterprises themselves, the airlines themselves. So take an organization that has a marketing arm, a sales arm, customer service, et cetera. AI, co-pilots, agents, more agentic experiences are really creeping up all over the place. And it's really helping the employees do their jobs better, which you have to always remember there's two sides of a customer service equation. Mm-hmm. There's the customer, but there's also the person providing that service as well. And so we want to make sure we provide those tools and processes that enable the organization to deliver at a high level and a consistent high level at scale.
Mm-hmm. AI is certainly not the only innovation that is on the horizon. We have time for a quick last question, but what other innovations are you sort of excited about?
Well, we are looking at augmented reality and virtual reality because that is the perfect reciprocity between digital and physical and digital. Of where, we'll take a passenger, taking a trip, a little timid, uncomfortable, is that a destination I've never been? Can I solve their fears of that destination? Absolutely. Or I can create excitement and allure. And we were talking about Air Canada vacations, we were working on them. How many kids in Montreal get to snorkel in the summer? Not many. But they take their winter vacation down in the Caribbean. And if many of you have children and you schedule an activity and you have one child that just is so scared they're not going to do it, it can kind of tank the family vacation. But what if the augmented reality and virtual reality, before they leave on that trip, those kids could actually take a real snorkeling trip, right, guided, so that when they get to that activity down in the Caribbean, they're ready, they can't wait, they're excited. There's just so many possibilities in the travel industry for us.
Yeah. Mark, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's a great thread to pull on a little bit. Like, how can we kind of bridge the digital and kind of physical worlds together? The notion of having sort of a curated personal library of potential experiences to try on before you actually click the purchase now button on a website. You never know. It could be something in a lounge that gets set up that kind of helps people plan their next adventure or vacation. So there's a ton of opportunity out there.
That's great. We're out of time, but I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, Victoria, Mark. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.